Honorable Dafeamekpor, I'm just getting information that your side have sort of served Parliament of a sort of a state of execution that you wanted in respect of Tema Central, Techima South. What is the game plan?
Now, yes, state of execution have been filed and served in respect of some constituencies, including Pandai, including Fantiakwa North, including Akwetia, including Okankwe Central, including Blakman North, Tema Central, Trobu, Techiman South, and there's one Obuasi East. Yeah, so these are the constituencies, about 9 of them, that are under litigation. Now, the appropriate thing to do as Parliament is not to swear them in. But if the minority arrive in a litigious mood and decides to insist that they be sworn in, we will not litigate it. We will allow them to be sworn in. In any case, the law is settled that a person can be sworn in until the final determination of a matter. So when the courts decide the matters on its merits and their supposed election is revoked or otherwise determined by the court, the appropriate remediable steps will be taken. Because today, we're in a happy mood. We are not in the mood to entertain any scuffle, any litigation. Whatever they demand, we'll grant it. Whatever they demand, we'll grant it. So we can have our speaker, our first deputy speaker, they can have their second deputy speaker. So tomorrow morning we can go and get the president-elect sworn in. Yes. So
you don't want any chaos because you assume that could potentially affect all these events that you've lined up?
Of course. You are aware for exactly 4 years ago. These are events that occurred and is supposed to be a guide going forward. You see, Sancho wrote a locus classicus called The Arts of War. He wins who knows when to fight and when not to fight. You must know when to fight and when not to fight. You always will win if you know this principle. So in order to win in life, you must know when to litigate and when not to litigate. So timing is important in everything. Today's timing is not conducive for confrontation because we have been inherited to exercise the executive power of state. So our decisions and actions will have to reflect that. We are no longer in opposition. So we cannot be acting as if we are in opposition. Yes.
I saw you pretty shortly. The final question prior to you go. You were here and you were sort of saying, like sort of drawing a line.
Yes.
Is your indication is that all these 3 pews from this side up until their side is going to be for the NDC majority?
Yes. In fact, the spillover will hit the first column, the second column, and the third. And then the MPP may have a couple of seats from here because the second deputy speaker will occupy one of those. Yes. And the independent members may also occupy. So this is like the no man's land. This is the boundary between the green zone and the blue zone. The independent members will be ensconced in that region of the house. So it's a total annihilation. The house is green, completely green. Meanwhile, they introduced Green Ghana.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dafeamekpor.
It's my pleasure.
Something, so
let me use the opportunity to say good evening to my people in South Dai. Some of my constituents are here.
Okay.
And today is a day for merrymaking. I wish them all the best and Happy New Year once more. I'll be home soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, so something, Honorable Dafeamekpor has given us a sort of indication into their game plan, their strategy. Let's say they are not going to fight it. They've served the injunction applications, the state of executions, the grant, whatever. They've served it appropriately on the speaker. But if the NDC are to come in, the NPP side are to come in and come in a confrontational manner, they will not fight it. They will allow those persons to be sworn in so that the process can conclude early enough for John Mahama to be sworn in. And 4 years ago, I was here when the conflict that we saw, the chaos on the floor, led to a delay in the swearing of President Akufo-Addo for a second term. And they are really bent on stopping that. for which reason they have said that although their insistence ordinarily is that these persons should not be sworn in, if the NPP side come and in a confrontational manner do it in such a way that will lead to chaos and fight on the floor, then they will allow that to go through and will trust that the court process will return a verdict that will lead to what, in their opinion, is the true MP select for these constituencies who then take their feet. And so constituencies, 9 of them, and that is the indication he just gave me, 9 is the number of seats they are hoping that the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, when he is elected, properly so-called for the 9th Parliament, will decide not to swear them in for the NPP. That is if the NPP really does give in to a fight.
We'll leave you to get to speak to a lot more of the MPs as they come in and the leadership of Parliament. Of course, we know that they are high-ranking members of society and also statesmen and women who are gathering in there. You help our audiences to be able to interact with these people. So the constituency, 9 constituencies that he's talking about are Tema Central, Fantiakwa North, Ablekuma North, Obuasi East, Kwandai, Techiman South, Akwetia, Okaikwe Central, and Trobo, which are under litigation. And on the basis of that, various processes, prohibitory processes, have been served on Parliament, seeking so that the NPP candidates in these areas who may have been declared or even gazetted should not be sworn in. What do you see in the strategy? I'll come to you quickly. What do you see in this strategy by the NDC majority going into the 9th Parliament?
They know that they are on the other side now. They know that whatever happens in Parliament may have an impact on the actual event they're expecting tomorrow. It will be unwise for you to, right now, seek to stifle your own program tomorrow by insisting on a fight in this Parliament. If you are in a minority, creating chaos, sometimes you don't even get blamed for it, because you expect that the people in the majority who are leading government business, it is dawning on the NDC that we cannot do business as usual. Those times where they would insist, they will fight everything. Again, they also realize that it makes sense. Let them see through. Let's use the court processes to try and reverse if it's possible. After all, the NDC has a huge number as we speak today. It has numbers that can do a lot with. And if you have that kind of number and you have in excess...
Quickly, let's go back to Parliament, and Sam George is on. When we return, you tell me why, even with a huge majority, they should be making the kind of concessions he's planning that they should do. Because the NPP minority, how many, 33% or less in the House? Let's go back to...
A dissolution happens, do we expect members who are not coming back to the 9th Parliament to also come to the floor this evening?
Well, that's the expectation, but I don't anticipate that. Because of the way the transition happens, I believe that most of the MPs who are not returning would not want to come here at midnight just to come and go through the ceremony of it. And so, but also the question is, if it is the 8th Parliament that's coming to sit now, will the Speaker come in to preside and then leave after the dissolution for us to start the 9th Parliament? That's what ought to be. And in that case, new members of Parliament cannot then sit in the chamber. So again, we need to check with the Marshal's office, because if it's the dissolution that's going to happen now, no new member of the 9th Parliament who is not a part of the 8th Parliament should make entry into the chamber until the Speaker completes the dissolution. So those are all things that I think we'll need to iron out properly, because if you have a new member who is not part of the 8th Parliament sitting in there before the dissolution, that will be contempt of Parliament. That's an illegality. And so we'll need to fine-tune that with the Marshal's Department and see how it goes.
I just did a quick scan of the floor. I saw 4 different sessions, or row if you want to call it, and I did a quick count of the chairs on the far left of the speaker, because as it stands now, we have, after the second row, the third row is entering the left of the speaker, which is supposed to be the minority, and the majority extending to all of that. 82 chairs on the side of the speaker. How many is the majority number as we speak today regarding the issues in court as well?
Well, officially, I think we have 183. 183. And this is just akin to my first term in Parliament, which was the 7th Parliament, where the NPP had 169 and we had 106. At that time, you saw that you had a number of NPP MPs sitting on the left of Mr. Speaker as well. They sat all the way, almost halfway through. This time we're going to go much more deeper than they did with 188. But I believe that the dynamics of the House will no longer be that the middle aisle is the separation between the majority and minority. That aisle is going to move. Right now it's going to move way deeper beyond the middle aisle.
Which of the constituencies are you yet to clear to make the 188 that we've all been talking about?
Well, a few of them have been redeclared for the NPP in the past few days. I know that there are court challenges and legal challenges to that. I think that the Legal Office of Parliament has been apprised of that. But for us, we want to have a smooth process today. We want to complete this process. It's my hope that by 1 a.m. we're out of here. We should not have any conundrums when it comes to the election of the Speaker or the first deputy or the second deputy. I think we're clear in our minds who are going to occupy those positions. There should be no vote. It should just be an acclamation. And so I believe that past midnight, within 30 minutes, the clerk should be done with all the processes. The Speaker should come in, swear members of Parliament in, and we'll proceed. I think I should be very smooth, so we can go have a good... I want my beauty sleep, because I want to really look dapper for the swearing in of John Mahama. So we need to get back into bed before 2 a.m. today, so that by 8 a.m. we're back at the Independence Square for the historic swearing in of Ghana's first female vice president and the return of John Mahama. You know, this evening we met with him, and there was a joke some of us cracked with him. You know, in the House here, you have what we call the I shall return phenomenon, where an MP loses. And so, for example, MPs who lost at the end of the 8th Parliament or 7th Parliament and were not part of the 8th Parliament, but told us that I shall return, and now have come back in the 9th Parliament. So we said John Mahama is the senior I shall return. I mean, he left the presidency and has returned to the presidency.
Let me end with you still on some specifics. You have led the coalition process for a number of the constituencies that are still in contention. What do you know currently as we speak about Okaikwe Central, Tema Central, and Techiman South as we speak?
I believe that some kinds of declarations have been done. I know that the legal teams are exploring the validity and propriety of the actions that have been undertaken. And so I'm pretty confident that I'll leave that for the legal team to give the way forward. Like I said, I know that there are a few legal actions underway in the court that have been brought to the attention of the clerk, but ultimately today our focus is not on...
Has been brought to the attention of the clerk.
Our attention today is not on any parliamentary seat. Our attention is on the swearing in of John Mahama and making sure that we get that done. And so today we're here, like I said, to have a smooth process.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
That's Honorable Sam George there, MP for Ningo Pram, whose term will be expiring in few hours and then renewed for him at the inauguration. And Samson and the rest of the team, this is where the MPs will be making entry to the Chamber of Parliament. We call it the Foley. You see barricade mounted here with police barriers as well as other equipment. This setting up when we go to the floor of the House, as at the early part of the evening, as at 7 p.m., this checking up. You can see there an MP being checked before he make entry to go and do his registration. Honorable, let me just have a quick one with you while you go do your registration. Congratulations, you dressed in white. What's the significance?
Victory, sign of triumph over bad governance, which resulted in a humiliating defeat of Akufo-Addo's government. That is why I'm in white.
There's this whole conversation about some MPs elect not being able to be sworn in today because of the legal actions going on. There's an issue about Okaikwe Central, Ablekuma North, which is yet to be determined, Tema Central, as well as Techiman South. From your side of the house, are you still insisting that your candidate still get that, or you expect the speaker not to swear anyone in as far as those three constituencies are concerned?
No, it is not for us to determine. Once the House is officially served with processes from court, the processes must be respected. If there are injunction orders, they must be respected. And so it is my expectation that once the House has been duly notified about some injunction orders coming from emanating from the court, I mean the court's orders will be respected. If there are pending issues to be resolved in court, I think that the orders of the court, the interim orders of the court, must be respected, pending the outcome of the determination of the substantive matters that are before the courts. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Honorable Gaga, you are a ranking on the Defense Committee in Parliament. We've just seen some initial appointment. We've seen an appointment, Honorable Bani in charge of interim security measures under John Mahama before substantive appointment. Some would say they were looking forward to seeing your name. Are we seeing any appointment to Honorable James Aga? Are you lobbying for any post?
No. Let us give the President the free will to exercise his discretion. You know, President Mahama is the most experienced politician of our time. He served as deputy minister before, he served as MP, minister, vice president, president, former president, and once again, president. So you can't underestimate the experience of President Mahama. And so I would wish that we give President Mahama the space.
Same is your level of experience to your experience and expertise in the field of security. Would we see your name in the 60 MPs or appointment, John Mahama?
Rests squarely, I mean, within the bosom of President Mahama. Yes, so.
But you would accept when it comes?
Oh, but why? Why are you trying to drag me into all these things? Let us give the president the space to constitute his team. And I know at the end of the day, he's going to constitute a very competent team which would hit the ground running. You can trust in the judgment of President Mahama in that regard.
Thank you so much. Honorable James Agalga there, ranking on the Defense Committee in Parliament, speaking to us. I've seen Honorable Vanderpoel there. Let's have a chat with him. Honorable, thank you for joining us. Let me just be clear, you are not coming back.
Yes.
So what are you doing here?
My work is done. I'm helping my colleagues to be able to move through the transition very well. I have close to about 30 new guys who need to be taken through some of the, let me say, the labyrinth in the house. So I'm nurturing them. As well, tonight, we need to guide them, we need to goad them so that we'll be able to be part of the decision making and have a smooth, let me say, decision making in the house today.
But how are you able to nurture 30 members of Parliament, elect new MPs onto the floor?
Well, across the country for years now, I've been able to cultivate interest in the development of some of our young ones across the country. As we're talking now, in Bono region alone, where I grew up, I have close to about 5 people who are in Parliament. In Bono is 2, in Western region 3. So quite a number. In Greater Accra about 4. So we trying to build all of them. And, you know, we are the ones who are taking over from the older ones. So people like us, people like me, Eric Opoku, Collins Dauda, Cletus Avoka, James Aveji, and the rest, we are the ones who have taken over from the older ones. And so we need to prop up the young ones who are coming up. And you need to be around to encourage them. Today is their first day. Some of them will be overwhelmed. So you need to be around to give them the confidence they desire and encourage them so that they can be part of the process.
And so you should have stayed to do the grooming properly from the floor of the house, but you've decided to step down.
Others will do the grooming in the house, don't worry. We'll do it from behind. It's always better to have people from behind whilst they are doing it within the parliament, within the jurisdiction of parliament. We can also do it from behind to be able to assist them. And sometimes some of them have that. It's not just a matter of grooming them in the legislature, but some of them are coming to Accra, and they may find Accra life a bit difficult. So you need to hold them, take them through places, be able to build their confidence as they go around Accra. Some of them are coming to Accra for the first time, and they need people who can encourage them, people who will direct them where to go, where not to go, what to do and not to do, what to say and not to say, so that they'll be able to find themselves comfortable in Accra.
There are those who say that Honorable Lanthe-Vanderpoel has decided not to go to Parliament again for some substantive appointment in the next government of John Dramani Mahama. I know in previous NDC government you served as a sports minister, a local government minister, and all of that. The state of sports as we have it now, people think that if you were on the floor, giving you a substantive sports minister would have been easier, especially when your president promises to get just 60 MPs, and per the constitutional requirement, a lot of it must be coming from the floor. Is it true that you decided not to go for a substantive appointment in the next government?
Let me say this, appointments are the preserve of His Excellency the President, and I said whoever he appoints will support the person. Whoever is appointed, wherever he appointed, wherever he asked me to be, I will be there to offer my support to the government and also help in the development of the country. I will help. I will contribute my best to the realization of his vision and agenda, and also to make sure that the resetting will be complete and will really have impact and effect on Ghanaians, so that Ghanaians will have the confidence to return us to power in 2028 and beyond.
But of course, all of this comes with lobbying and all of that. Where is that particular place that if we see your name, we shouldn't be surprised?
I don't believe in lobbying in any way.
You don't lobby?
No. I think the president knows all of us. Mr. President knows almost everybody in NDC. He's worked with all of us. So you don't need to lobby him. You don't need to lobby anybody, because the person who is going to lobby for you, the person knows you more than that person, knows you better than that person. So who are you going to lobby? I think he will make appointments. You've seen his first line of appointments. People he knows, people he's worked with, people he trusts in, he believes in. So he will do the same.
Will you be disappointed if he doesn't trust a job into your hand?
Why should I? He made me a minister some time ago. So if he decides in his own wisdom at this point in time that he's making somebody else a minister, why should I be disappointed? I will still serve him in whatever capacity I find myself.
What's your expectation for tonight? We know that quite a number of activities are bound to happen. Election of a speaker, swearing in with all of the issues about court cases and all of that. What's your expectation? Should we expect any form of brouhaha?
I'm expecting that this night will be very smooth. Everything will move smoothly, and then we shall live here in peace. I don't expect what happened in 2020 to happen today because of our numbers. There's nothing that can happen. So I'm sure everything will be smooth.
Do you expect...
We pray to God that everything will be smooth.
Do you expect your successor to do as well as Honorable Lanthe-Vanderpoel has done?
I expect him to do better than I did.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
That member of parliament, technically almost a former member of parliament for Ododo constituency, Honorable Edwin Neil Lanthe-Vanderpoel. And as you can see in your shot there, screening for MPs are still happening, so they get access to the floor of the House. so they get access to the floor of the House. I see Honorable Samuel Oku somewhere there. The indication we go from Honorable Honorable Sam George earlier is that if indeed there's going to be a dissolution, what it means is that new MPs are not supposed to make access to the floor of the House. Okay, I see him there. Honorable, congratulations. I mean, you're making your way to the floor. Just a word to your constituents while you get sworn in there.
Well, no, but the thing are you okay, no?
Honorable, just a word to your constituents who are watching.
Well, they are going to have a very good MP, that I can assure them. Thank you.
And so that's Honorable Samuel Oku there. What it means is that effectively, any moment from now, we should be having the processes leading to the inauguration of the House of Parliament. Quite a number of them already here going through the security checks to make their way to the floor of the House. I see Honorable Muntaka Mubarak there also interacting with a number of his colleagues. We're trying to see if I can have access to him to have a word or two from him. Honorable, let's have a word from you. Let's have a word from you. He will not speak to us, but exchanging pleasantries there. So, Samson and the team, I think the hour is drawing near now where the MPs now would have to make their ways to the floor of the House to get themselves sworn in.
And Kweku Asante, all of you in Parliament, we will be staying with you and making sure that we give our audiences, a complete picture of what is happening in the House. Right, so we can see they are flooding in now, and I was saying, and Ines of Hussein is still with us. We'll come to Ines of Hussein shortly because there's something we believe he may be able to decode it. That you mentioned that they have such a huge majority, almost 2/3 majority. So why will they be too willing to allow, as Dafeamekpor told us, that those contentious constituencies, if the people came in, they will insist that the court processes should be respected, therefore they should not be sworn in. But if the NPP guys insist that they should be sworn in, they would easily allow them to be sworn in. Why would they take that posture when this minority's voice will be so small?
It will be interesting to know for a second what the other game is. And I suspect if you don't engage nicely, as in the NDC to the NPP, don't worry. We'll also act like the hard line when it comes to become second deputy speaker. We will deprive you of it. There's nothing you can do. We will vote massively against whoever you put up. In fact, you need the grace of God to change the minds of more than 50 of our own to actually move to your side, to actually tilt in your favor. So I suspect they know that they are holding the keys there. No, don't fight them over this number. But I suspect they have spoken to them too, that let's manage this in a way that is congenial for everybody, so that you still will get the opportunity of presenting your second deputy speaker. It will be accepted. And if Esiama is still the person that we want to put it up, it will be fine. I mean, I am just looking through the independent candidates. I'm not sure who will be
right. Ines of Hussein will tell us what is there to lose by exchanging as many as 3-4 MP seats now for, if you like,
the second
deputy speaker position. Do you suspect this is what is happening?
Well, I mean, that's something that could happen, and you can infer that the NDC, because there's been a lot of conversation, about whether or not the NDC should grant, the NPP the second deputy speaker position, and here and there. Do I see, is that the Akwetia MP I see. I'm trying to get a closer look at him, but I'll get back to that. But this is it. I mean, they've been trying to get that. I mean, and the NDC has a new approach where it starts from the perceived grassroots. Where the grassroots has been calling on us to do this and to do that, and then they go ahead and to do it. Now, what I see happening is a trap that they are setting for the NPP or the minority.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. Yes, that's the Akwetia MP. But there's another thing.
And there's Kumi.
There's another thing. I'll come back to the Akwetia MP's case right now, but there's another thing. You see, when you are in government, when you're about to get into government, the last thing you want is uncertainty. The last thing you want is anything that actually creates uncertainty. In fact, part of the problem, you see, when the NPP was faced with the challenges they faced in 2021, at the point, Osei Mensah-Bonsu, when Harry used to say it to all of us, that Osei Mensah-Bonsu went back and said he wanted to withdraw the nomination of Speaker Michael Quay. That Abba Bagman will go through. You've heard Abu Jinapo make the point that at that point, they were concerned about the swearing in of Akufo-Addo. Because you are a lawyer, a good one at that, and you know that by midnight, technically speaking, there's no president. And the last thing you want to do is to delay further and create anything that could lead to a case.
You hold on briefly for me. We understand that the Defense Minister, Dominic Nitiwul, is with us.
As a court order stops a member of parliament from doing that, or a court order stops somebody who is supposed to be a member of parliament, let's say an MP elect, if a court stops you, that's a different matter. Otherwise, you get elected. But where I take it upon myself, believing that I've won an election, smuggle myself into the chamber and now say that I might be sworn in, is going to just bring chaos and nothing else. And I suspect that's what is going to happen here.
I mean, I'm sure that's with regards to the issues in court for Tema Central, Okaikwe Central, and Techiman South. We get the indication that the Clerk of Parliament has been given the notice that those issues are still in court, and so the swearing-ins shouldn't happen. If that should go on to happen, what does it mean to the democracy of Parliament and the relation between the legislature and the judiciary, because the orders of the court must be respected at all levels?
Once a member is not served, you assume that you have not been served. If the person has been served, that's the person's headache. If the person does that, the person can go for contempt of court. So that's the person's own headache. If you remember, 4 years ago, the MP for North had a similar problem. Parliament took a decision that is the person's personal problem. So they got him sworn in and said, look, he should go out there and face the public and face the courts. And so the argument was that he himself has not been served. And if you have not been served, it means that you don't know anything about it. The clerk may have been served. That's for the clerk to determine whether he wants to do it or he doesn't want to do it. What I'm saying that we as MPs should not take the law into our own hands and do something that will embarrass ourselves again for a second time. But I just hope that we'll learn lessons from the past and ensure that we don't repeat what the public does not expect us. Otherwise, we'll erode the confidence of the public in Parliament. You understand what I'm trying to say? We are building institutions. Remember that we have tried to build democracies in our short history as a country. We are less than 70 years, but we've already done 4 republics. This is the 4th republic. So I'm saying that Parliament must build a good image for itself, a good image about itself, and a good image for the people they represent. You are the Parliament and the President, or MPs and the President are the only 2 categories of people who will go out there, campaign, and get elected.
So they are the true representatives.
True representatives of the people. So I represent over 200,000 people in my constituency. Over 95,000 voters, but when it comes to the human beings, the people, there are over 200,000. They expect me to behave in a certain way and represent them truly as somebody who is representing them. So what I do, what I say, how I say it, and what I do should represent what the people of Bimbla should stand for. And they should be proud that this is their member of parliament. That's my caution.
I mean, should the MPs elect who are the center of all of this, your advice is that even as MPs elect, they should respect the rule of law and shouldn't take the law into their own hands. If they should make their way into the floor of the House, would you advise that security prevents them from?
No. If you are an MP elect, your name would have been sent by the letter commission. If you have not, has not been sent, you have no business coming to the floor of Parliament.
If they do?
That's wrong, and we should stop them. The security should stop such people. If I believe I've won an election and for some reason I've not been gazetted and my name brought to the clerk of Parliament, I have no business coming here. You are a stranger. You have no business stepping on the floor of Parliament. Absolutely, you have no business. And so the security should stop such people. Otherwise, they will bring unnecessary confusion to the chamber. As to whether those who have been gazetted should be sworn in or not, it's between the clerk and the members. Just like the last time, the member got sworn in and he faced the music by himself. And so that's a different thing that we should be talking about. Okay. But my problem is, if I believe for some reason I've won an election, that's my personal opinion. But the person who truly will certify that you have won an election is the letter commission. And they will send a gazette notice to Parliament. If they haven't done that, I have no business coming to the floor of Parliament.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best. We'll see you later. That's Honorable Dominic Nitiwo there, advising that those MPs whose constituencies are still in contention should actually prevent themselves from getting sworn in, which means that they shouldn't even make their way to the floor of the House to get sworn in, for the respect of the rule of law. Even if they should make that attempt, security must prevent them from getting access to the floor of the House and to prevent any form of chaos. I have a first-timer here from the Southstone constituency, Honorable Maxwell Lukuto here. I'm sure a lot of viewers of Joy News would have known him. Honorable, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So that's in place.
Yeah, sure. Being one of my constituents, I think that it's in place.
Did you have to say that?
Yeah, sure. I want to feel proud that you are my constituent.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
I'm also proud that you are here. And so, I mean, you are making your way to the floor of the House for the first time. Tell me, what is the feeling like for you? You've won the election long ago. Now you are going to where will be your official workplace for the next 4 years. How do you feel?
Yeah, so I think the long wait is over, and I wish to dedicate tonight to my constituents, for whom I have fought all these years to represent in the big House of Parliament. I am happy that finally they gave me the nod, and I'm here because of my constituents. I'm happy that I'm finally here. Thank God that we have finally made it, and the long day is here. Finally, we are here, and we are grateful to God that He's made a way today.
Right, so we are still in Parliament, and as you can see, the people are flooding in, the MPs are flooding in, so sometime soon the business will kick in. Let me pick the views of Honorable Yusuf Seni. Thank you very much. I suppose we have a better line with you now. Earlier, we're having a little difficulty with your connection. How do you... Right, I understand that Honorable Yusuf Seni is not with us presently, but we will make contact with him again and bring him in because he is a senior member of the NDC. He will have a better understanding why they have adopted the strategy that Roxanne Nelson Dafeamekpor speaks about. As you hear, almost all the NDC MPs who have been spoken to say that the Speaker must respect the Parliament must respect the court processes. And what they mean by that is that those contested seats, there should not be a swearing in for those seats. But the NPP is also suspecting that there will be trouble. You have heard Dominic Nitiwo. He's very clear about it, what they suspect will happen. How do we avoid that? But we want to understand what is going into what is in the psyche or what is in the strategy of the NDC that with the majority that they have, they still say that if the NPP insists that those people should be sworn in, they will just simply give in and ask them to be sworn in because they don't want to be disturbed. You were making the point that while they are coming into government, they are no longer in the opposition.
Yeah.
And so they will not want there to be any hitches.
Look, Samson, you're expecting John Mahama, President-elect John Mahama. I mean, we always call him president. So president.
Is it a suggestion that this minority can do anything about him being sworn in?
Cannot do anything
in good time.
But what the minority can actually do is to delay.
Or frustrate the process.
Or frustrate the process.
How?
They can frustrate because, you see, if the minority insists and the majority decides to punish them by electing somebody for second deputy speaker, it means we go into an election. That is about 2 to 3 hours of elections.
True.
That takes us to about 6 p.m. 6 a.m., I beg your pardon. When are you going to go back home, get ready, and then show up at the Independence Square? So if you are the NDC, you know that, look, this is not something you want to fight. After all, you currently have 183 members of parliament, together with the 2 who are your members of the party. You have 185.
All right.
You just have absolute majority.
Let's go back. We understand Kujopon Kruma, Fwase Ayirebi Kokobeng, is it? He is also, yes, he is also on with us.
Be in the executive branch, and they have given them some overwhelming numbers to work with. But be that as it may, we are minded that we will discharge our obligations as the opposition with utmost fidelity to the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. And so the numbers, as daunting as they may look, they do not deter us from the kind of work that must be done. As our leader mentioned, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is the leader currently of the NPP, mentioned, we will not be an obstructive opposition, but we will do our job with fidelity to the Constitution, and we will assist the governing party to deliver on their commitments to the good people of Ghana.
There's the conversation as we speak about some constituencies who should make it to the floor and who should not make it to the floor. For instance, the 3 constituencies, Tema Central, Okaikwe Central, and Techiman South, we are told that the NDC have been able to serve a notice to the Clerk of Parliament not to swear the NPP MPs who have been declared on the floor of the House. If those people should make their way in, do we have a possible chaos on our hands on the floor of the House?
I mean, you're asking me to predict the future. I can't predict the future. We are not aware of...
Looking back at what happened the last 4 years.
Well, I can't predict the future. We are not aware of these things that you are talking about. We are clear in our minds who's won those seats, who's been declared, who's been gazetted, and we will be working, as I mentioned, in strict fidelity to the Constitution and to the laws of this country. If the laws are quite clear about who's won and who's been gazetted, we will work with that.
Do you expect those 3 to be sworn in tonight?
I do expect that they will be sworn in tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Kujopon Kruma, MP4 of Fwase Ayirebi there. He's made a comeback to this parliament, also trying to make his way into the floor.
Right. And thank you very much, James Aveji. And as you know, we have our man right there in the chamber of parliament, and they're going to be bringing us all you need to know, all you need to see in that chamber. And that's why we're here. This is your election headquarters. Winston Amoy is here. Raymond Akwa is also here. And Winston, you were just finishing up on the point on what dragging the circumstance to a vote could mean.
Exactly. I mean, it delays the whole process. And if you're the majority, you don't want to do that. However, because we've seen in recent times this whole idea of punishing, and we've seen the conversation about, time to pay back the NPP, maybe they can do that. But I mean, what I would always say is that
we should hear Andre Siama, the second deputy speaker. Okay, so Andre Siama, that's okay. We'll get to hear them in detail when it is needed, because we wanted to be sure, because we understood that he may be in contention on the side of the NPP for the second deputy speakership.
But has his interest been filed?
That's a point.
Yeah.
As Kweku Sante confirms for us, it is Bernard Ahiafo, first deputy, whose nomination has been filed, according to the new standing orders. And Speaker Babing alone. So for now, we have 2 who are going solo until further notice, Bagbing and Bernard Ahiafo. Honorable Yusuf Seni joins us back. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, we wanted to understand what will make the NDC with, call it a supermajority in the House, be willing to compromise, make such compromise by allowing, as Roxanne Dafeamekpor said, the MPP's wishes, if they came into the House and insisted that despite service of the court processes, injunction orders, injunction applications, stay of execution, processes, they insist that those members of theirs from the contested constituencies be sworn in. The NDC will not argue, will simply allow them to be sworn in. What would go into that kind of thinking on the part of the NDC?
First of all, that
and unfortunately, the line to Honorable Yusuf Seni is not the best. Yeah, it's not the best. So we will re-establish contact with him and hope that we have a better line. You finish your point.
Yeah, so I mean.